AI music is a hot topic of debate in large and small communities. Pretend I put some AI music right here to open up the show. La la la, la la la. Hi, I'm Steph from Get to the Roots Extras, and also Get to the Roots is my radio show on Radio St. Pete. And recently we had a lively email debate on Radio St. Pete throughout all of the DJs and our music director about AI music, and people had a lot of great different opinions about whether they like it or not. And I think the consensus for most people was they're okay with it if it's a tool used to make your art better. And in a lot of ways, I agree with that. I think that if you're already an artist and you use a new tool to slightly improve your art, maybe make the sound what you were looking for, make the feel better, change the feel, or change the overall, if it wasn't music, look of something in some way that improves the quality overall, I think that can be a very good thing. And I feel the consensus is mostly there. However, some people are more liberal with their tools than other people. Like, there are some people not in this community, but in the larger community that make all AI music or mostly AI music or half and half AI music. And it's a lot. It's a lot. There's an app out there called Suno where you can just type in a prompt, choose some styles, and it will generate you several different versions of a song. I made an AI song to advertise for my radio show. Then I lip synced to it and posted it as a fun little advertisement for my show, basically. I uploaded it to my YouTube channel too. It's very silly. I just put in some rhymes, tried to mimic the Cheers theme song as much as possible, and went for it. And while that was fun to play with and it was neat to make a song from scratch, absolutely no part of me felt like there was any passion or soul within that recording. It wasn't even a recording, that computer generated whatever. I mean, there's a reason why they call it slop. Because it's sloppy, man. No, it's more than that. It's soulless. It's dredge. It's just there. And I think it's a neat way to test how something could sound or get an idea of how something could sound. In the past, when I had my season of AI experimenting with ChatGPT to see about writing. I never just copied and pasted from ChatGPT because I was like, oh, this writing is bad. But it did give me some ideas on how I could write certain things. And from that, I was able to get some momentum going on my writing or see how I could frame things in a different way. I've also asked it for video ideas for my art channels, and that was also very useful. I used none of the AI's ideas. I did say how I used an idea once in the actual video of the idea, and then people, like, berated me in the comments. They're like, "Don't use AI, it uses a bunch of water," which it does. And if you ask ChatGPT about that, it'll be like, "Oh, no, just, like, for the learning and training." However, we're seeing these data centers pop up all over the country, which proves that that might be to the contrary. Actually building data centers, I think, in the Everglades and many places across the US, where a lot of resources are being used for these artificial intelligence programs that are running rampant all over the internet. I mean, we've already had little programs that are similar, like the bots, the comment bots, the chat bots, and those are all mostly programmed, but you can always program a if this, then that. And what is an AI but a very complex if this, then that type of sequence? I mean, but then again, what is the human? So I guess the whole reason why I'm talking about this, not only because of our lovely, lively discussion locally, which, I mean, it was great to see so many passionate people talking about how they feel. It was nice to be able to chime in and to bond with colleagues over that, is the fact that, well, Spotify is as far as I know, the largest. Well, I can just check that out real fast. Is Spotify the largest? Yes, Spotify is the largest music streaming service out there right now. And recently, they have over 100 million songs in their database, and they recently removed over 75 million tracks deemed to be spam or low quality AI content over the last year. And things are uploaded every single day to Spotify and lots of songs. But there's estimations that upwards of 50,000 fully AI generated tracks are uploaded daily as of late 2025. So that means that when you just go to a program like Suno or like another music generation app generating online app or platform, you type in what you want, you maybe give it some lyrics, might even give it lyrics. You might make your lyrics in ChatGPT and paste those in there, and then you create and then you upload that with absolutely no singing or musical instrument done by you, no melody composed by you, nothing. And they do say like, oh, everything, what was it the Beatles said? You can't do anything, everything's already been done. There's nothing new under the sun. Oh yes, but but also yes. Oh no, have we gotten ourselves into a logical box? It doesn't change the pursuit of music. There's so many fine nuances. Like when you hear a master at an instrument play or a amazing vocalist sing, they're not going to sound exactly the same as someone else. Like two different piano players could play Rachmaninoff, and although the notes are the same, the inflection will still feel different. The timing might feel slightly different. There might just be a vibe, or they might be exactly the same. But chances are they're not going to be exactly the same. They're going to give you a different feeling. There is so much more that goes into creating and creation. The soul of the person making the art goes into the art and goes to the audience. Like the soul of what you want to put out into the world is important. And that's what shines through your art. And that's what being an artist is about, whether you compose or perform or like what I like to do. I like to doodle, I like to draw, paint, write. Big into writing. Don't do it anymore. It makes me so unhappy to write now. But when I was writing, like I really poured myself into the writing because I wanted to give the audience, the reader, feeling. And that is what you do when you're an artist. You create to give your audience the feelings, and you want to move them and give them a gift essentially. And can AI understand that? I don't know. I don't think so. I doubt it. It's a if this then that program. And it's very cool that we have this advanced technology where you just type something in and it'll make you a little jingle. I recently made a commercial for my radio show. It's on the Facebook page for Get to the Roots. It's also on the YouTube channel where I lip sync to the very crappy AI song that I had Suno make for my show. And I made it in 5 minutes. The lip syncing actually took longer because I was like, no, I must make direct eye contact because then people will watch this and I will get more followers. And I also must make jokes and not overact too much because being the ever unsuccessful theater kid that I was, I have a tendency to overact. And I think that's so funny. I'm a very animated person in real life. So I wonder, like, am I scaring everyone away by being too much constantly because my face will contort 15 different ways just to say a sentence? But, it's probably just masking the trauma. Yes. So, I mean, AI can't capture love, although it is a neat tool to play with. I don't want the tool to play with for artists' sakes or for just people that just want to mess around with it to destroy the planet or the environment. If the data centers keep popping up and if too much resources are wasted on this, that is not good. That's a shame. It feels like if that sort of advancement is there, we also need an equally or better advancement to help the planet improve for everyone. I mean, I loved making that stupid little song and doing the lip sync and kind of making fun of it, and I'm also making fun of the long email discussion that we all had. I'm sure, like, everyone thinks I'm, like, pro AI now because I made that dumb commercial, and they're probably I always think the worst. I think people say the worst things about me because oftentimes it's true and I find out later. I heard something very interesting today, or no, yesterday. They said, I don't know if this is true, but this is an interesting theory. They say how your mother talked about other people is how you think when you grow up people are talking about you. And I'm like, oh no. That explains a lot. And then, oh, what did they say? How your mother talked to you becomes a voice in your head, which that's true. Oh my gosh. So if you had a very critical mother, or you had to spend years of your life talking back to that voice till you could finally make it shut up for good and realize that a lot of that criticism was likely unwarranted. And even if it was warranted at the time, it's likely if you've grown up, no longer warranted. And then I forget the third. There's a third one too. But I think those two are the most impactful. But anyway, people should only say nice things about each other unless there's nothing nice to say. So, yes. Oh, and by the way, I have the flu. It's been super fun. Coincidence, I made the AI song, lip sync to it, shared that everywhere, and then came down with the flu not 12 hours later. I'm pretty sure that was the cause. So also AI causes the flu. Not really, but maybe. Yeah, so I don't know, it was very lovely to see people's passionate responses, and then also to go on further, I listened to a wonderful video documentary by Swoop 2. Swoop, and then there's Swoop 2 is the second channel. This woman, she does amazing work, and she's also a recording artist too, so she had a lot of insight into the industry, and she did a lot of research. She's the one that stated the numbers on Spotify. I had no idea people were just making things on Suno and then just, like, uploading it and then hoping to, like, fill their piggy banks. There's actually some famous, mostly or all AI artists out there now. There's even, like, AI e-girls now that are out there getting hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, and they're selling products, which is just madness. But that's marketing, it's a little different, but as for art and creation, a computer or an algorithm will never have the soul, like the human experience and the soul to put behind something. It's very hard to break down your walls to be a creator. So when I was trying to write, I started trying to write seriously when I was 13. Like that's when I really wanted to write. Before that, I had a very tumultuous upbringing with a lot of criticism and then a lot of other things that I don't wanna talk about right now, but just say there's a lot of violence, verbal violence, a lot of ignoring, a lot of criticism, a lot of blame, a lot of erratic, a lot of, mania, a lot of dirty words, accusations, and there is no, "Hey, you're a kid." It was just like, "Oh, this 4-year-old is an adult that we shall torture." But my big escape was reading books because in the books, like, you could be someone else. You could be someone that wasn't under constant criticism, or you could read about someone else that maybe had a special skill or a talent, or they were good at something, or people liked them. And so I read books, and then I became obsessed. I read so many books. Used to read so quickly. I would just devour these books as if they were air. I read a lot of very thick fantasy books. I'm not talking Harry Potter. I thought Harry Potter was awful because it was written rather pedestrian, but that's okay. I have other pedestrian books I like. I just didn't like that one. I had like Patricia Redray or Reed. Like I had read her books like a couple years before, and they're very similar in size, although I do think that the writing quality was much better, and so I just preferred a little bit different books, and that's okay, but the the point is like I just read thin books, thick books, nonfiction, fiction, everything, and then so by the time I was 13 years old, I wanted to be a writer, so I would write, and it was terrible. And then high school, I was reading, going to school, doing theater, had to be a techie because I couldn't be on stage because I never got a part in a single play, and probably from the overacting. But then I would still write in my spare time and just no success, no success. Went to college, got my degree. I was getting my degree in English literature and psychology, and ran into some awful things that happened in the psychology program in my school. I don't know what type of college has a sociology professor that doesn't even have their doctorate as the head of a department. I mean, that's a whole 'nother can of worms, but he was an absolute imbecile, and I didn't have any tact back then. I still lack significant tact, so I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll just switch my major to English," which was fine because I was like, I read most of these books anyway." And so I switched to English and just kept psychology as a minor, and then, of course, I did the creative writing minor, and so, again, this whole time, I'm going through these trials and tribulations, I'm working 2, 3 jobs, I'm trying to, like, live my life, I'm trying to pass school, and I'm still writing, I wanna be a writer so bad, and got my first molecule of success. In my creative writing class, we had to try to get published for the final project of the final class to get the minor, and a couple other of my classmates got published in, like, the school magazine. I got published in the school magazine, but you had to get published somewhere else too. Like, that was just, like, you didn't have to get published, but they asked you to try. And I was the only one in that whole class that got published somewhere else. And I was like, "Oh, oh, you pompous, arrogant bastards that have been treating me like crap this whole last 4 years with your head stuck up your butts. I got my work in somewhere and you didn't." And then I'm like, "Oh, wait a second. This is the community of writers. This is great." A lot of writing, unfortunately, for a lot of people is this, like, narcissistic exercise, and you have to break that down, which is really hard to do because if you're talking about your own personal experience, how do you keep it from being a exercise in narcissism? You gotta get to the truth. And the piece that I got published was very truthful. And it actually wasn't about my traumatic childhood, so it was like a win-win. It was about my traumatic time at college. No, it wasn't about traumatic time at college, it was about this, like, lovely, weird time, weird experience. So then I got published first time, and it was like, "Yes, okay, this is what I wanna do." And I was submitting before this class places, I was submitting after. Didn't get published, didn't get published. Started writing all these other places, and, real life happens, have to get, like, a real job, and all these other different jobs, the economy crashed because this was many years ago, and still looking for that career everywhere, just and so fine, still writing, still writing, still writing. So I got published much later, and same thing. I still was breaking down that wall of narcissism, that wall of instead of it being about me, it's about the reader. It's about what this experience truly was. Tell the truth. Don't sugarcoat the shit. Tell the truth with your art. And I keep saying a computer, an AI can't do that. It can't tell the truth because it isn't a person. It just spits out what you want it to spit out. There's, like, no soul in it. It doesn't have the background experience. It's not a musician, it's not a writer, it doesn't have a grounding. It doesn't have all of the experiences. It doesn't have the back and forth and the lying to yourself and the inflated ego and then the ego death and then the overcoming obstacles. It doesn't have any of that that goes into being a real artist or creator or writer or musician. It has none of that. It doesn't have the hours and hours and hours of practice because not only to be, like, a writer or to be a musician, do you have to, like, tell the truth in your work. You have to practice. You have to practice over and over again. Like, I've recently gotten back into drawing, which I've mentioned several times. I love drawing. I love drawing more than I've ever loved writing. And it's so funny too, because sometimes I'll just like wake up and write like a whole story from start to finish. I did this like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, I was just like, I'm gonna write this story. Wrote it, start to finish, went through, edited it, read it out loud, edited it again. I was like, oh, I finally wrote this story. Then I was just done with it. I was like, all right, but I will draw every single day. But I don't want to write every single day. But I got back into drawing, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm drawing every day, just about, except for like this week with the flu, which has been awful. But even then, it's like I'm still like so not good. Like I'll have moments where I'm like, oh, that looks okay. But it's going to take hours and hours and hours of practice. And even though you can say, well, you don't need to practice because you have an AI and it already knows how to do it. No, it doesn't know how to do it. It knows how to copy what something else has already done. It knows how to copy something else that's already been done. It's like the kid next to you cheating off of your test and just kind of getting kind of like what you said in your essay. Like it's not the same. It's not the same. I don't know how else to say it. And you can get a lot of people already know that it's not the same. But there are people out there that defend they're like, I wrote this poem and I put it to music and now it's a song and I'm gonna put it on Spotify and that's how I express myself. Well, you wrote the poem. Like, did you go back and edit the poem? There's some people out there that don't even edit their poems. Like, that's not how any of this works. Like, you have to refine your pieces, in my opinion. I mean, there are some artists out there that do differently. Like, I see, there's a visual artist I follow on TikTok. He makes these very sloppy pictures, and I don't think he goes back and refines them, but he has made like hundreds of very sloppy pictures, so maybe he's just refining throughout each sloppy picture. I'm not sure. They're very brightly colored. I don't hate them, though they're not my style. Other people may really enjoy them. So, I don't know if this has told you anything about AI. I wanted to speak directly from the heart. I'm doing this podcast because hopefully my lovely gentleman and I will be doing our official podcast soon on a completely different channel about something completely different. And I wanted to get good at podcasting, or at least be better practiced at podcasting before I podcast with my love. And it's so funny too, because we got into like a little debate or argument about like the format today. And I was like trying to explain to him why I felt this way, and he explained, and we were going back and forth, and then I started to pontificate about our subject matter, and I'm like, wait a second, we're already podcasting. And it was nice. It's going to be nice to work with someone that I care about more than anything, and we're actually going to be working towards a common goal of creating something and putting it into the world. And also with this podcast, like, even though I say like I'm just doing this to practice for him, no, it's not just that. Like, I want to put something onto the world that supports local musicians, people, not AIs. And again, like, I don't mind. Like, I don't mind. No, it's not just that. I think that AI could be like a tool that you could use many different ways. I just don't think it should be the be all end all of what, like, it's not the be all end all. It's like, it's not the final product. Just like if you write something in 10 seconds that requires more effort than that should not be the final product. And it's just very interesting to me that people are just like, oh, I can make it like this and it's a thing. I don't like it. Okay, I don't like it. I don't think that most people don't like it. I've heard it theorized also on TikTok. I love TikTok, if you can't tell. Someone saying that all this AI stuff is just something to further break us apart as a global community, further created to like hurt our tribes on this planet. Just something made to make us all dislike each other more. And again, some of these tools, like, they're great for jokes. Like, I've found some really funny AI generated songs lately. I used one on my Instagram for the new year because it was so funny. I was like, that's hilarious. But did I think it was like a work of art? Did I think it should be the number one song on Spotify? Like, no. No. anyway, it's just a funny little song, perfect for that occasion, and then moving on. And just like my commercial that I made with the song, and just one little funny thing, moving on. Great opportunity for me to practice pretending to strum a guitar. I don't know, there's just something so hollow. It's so hollow, it's so soulless. It just we don't need AI to completely replace things, but to assist people, and then people have their own training and taste and volition and autonomy and audacity to take what they want from it and discard the rest. I think that is very useful. Just like a new paintbrush for a painter, or a better guitar for a guitarist. Like you shouldn't have to make your guitar from scratch to be a guitarist, but you still have to learn how to play. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the matter on AI. I know it's very rambly. It's so fun having the flu. I think it's so interesting, all of these different opinions. It's interesting that there are producers out there that are running songs through an AI to help them finishing off. Like, I do run my podcast through the AI filter on Podbean. I do like it because it takes out the background noise. And sometimes if my dog barks, it'll take out her barking, and then I'll be like, "Oh, hold on, my dog is barking." And it'll keep that in, but it'll take out her bark. So I just sound like a crazy person, which is accurate. So that's very helpful. Thank you. And I wish I had the capacity to tell it just to take out the background noise and raise all the levels, but it doesn't do that. Not yet. And I don't think it will. I think that that's another weird thing too. A lot of this stuff is very gatekeepery. Gatekeepy? It's there seems to be, like, we had these programs in the past on computers where you could mess with the controls. No, the capabilities were limited. You could tell it, I want this, I don't want that, I want this, I don't want that. Now it's kind of like, oh, if you're going to use this, you get these presets. And I think it's very interesting the types of limitations that we have now. I know there's probably the reasons are to keep things from getting too overloaded with memory usage. Like, for example, again, another TikTok example. If I spend a lot of time editing a TikTok that's like over a minute long, sometimes the TikTok won't even load properly, and I'll have to watch it and delete it and save it and do something else to make the audio work, because it'll like run out of memory within it. So I know that with all of these different social media users, like, memory is very limited sometimes. So that's probably why these presets exist, but also just see the choices that are made. It's very interesting to me, and I hope to observe them and see what else is to be found on that. Now, I did try to end this episode earlier and I failed. So now I will end it. Please come back for more. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Tell me how evil you think AI is. Tell me how stupid I am. And let me know what you think. Have you made an AI song? Do you think it's okay that they're everywhere? What do you think? And I hope wherever you are, you're having a great day. And hopefully I have someone really cool on my podcast next, or soon. Having Lisa on was great. I invited another person on to talk that I don't know at all, but they recently released a song and they haven't gotten back to me yet, so hopefully they will. If not, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Oh, excuse me. And I hope that you keep doing what you're doing too. Remember to break down your walls, be passionate, be honest, and practice your art, whatever it is. Just practice it. Practice it for the love of practicing it. And that's when you're gonna make something that matters. That's all that matters. And also, you matter. As Lisa said, Lisa Lida, who was on last week, you matter. I love that. I love that. Everyone, whenever I interview people, they always say like the best stuff to that question. Like, what would you tell everyone? It's always like the most beautiful thing.